Hey, what's up, guys? This is episode 4 of State of the Market. What we're going to talk about today, and what we have as the title for this live stream today is summer forecast for 2022. And we talked about that a little bit last week, what we're seeing coming into the summer and what we expect to see heading into fall. So that's what we're talking about today. Ben is also going to talk about like what he's seeing or what they expect to see on the mortgage side. For the most part, I mean, I think that, I have a lot of buyers, and I know you talk to people every day too, who are expecting that home prices are going to go back down. They're maybe waiting to buy until home prices go back down. And what we talked about last time and what I've said over and over and over again is that's not going to happen anytime soon.
I don't see homes depreciating.
A lot of us who are, I say younger generation, but we kind of coming up through the 2008, like in the recession, and kind of coming into the job market during that time. And I think that's what a lot of buyers today, a lot of millennial and Gen Z buyers now are thinking about, is they're expecting that that's going to happen, that we're going to see this like 2008 crash again, and we're going to have $50,000 homes again, or at least we're going to see some aggressive depreciation. There's really no reason why that would happen. The reason why that happened, as we talked about before in the market, was because that recession was driven by lending practices and other things, and they ended up causing people to go into foreclosure. We're not seeing mass foreclosures right now.
Foreclosures at their lowest level in years right now.
Right. Yeah.
And people have safely come out of forbearance, out of the CARES Act. There's just so much equity in people's homes. There's no reason for them to even try to foreclose on a home, because they can sell it and actually make money versus foreclosing.
Yeah. So what we're seeing today, the reason why home prices and home values are going up so quickly and have gone up so quickly is just basic supply and demand. In 2008, we had an on top of, because of people not being able to pay for their houses, we had this influx of inventory, and also nobody wanted to buy because housing prices to go way down. Right now, our inventory is so low, historically low, that until builders can catch up with that demand, we're not going to see any kind of drastic change in home prices. Now, that being said, right now, we are experiencing the beginning of a shift. And what we're seeing right now is a cooling off in the market. So we're not seeing a shift as in we're going from a seller selling to a buyer's market, but we're seeing a cooling off. And this summer, we expect to see that gradual cooling off continue. Wouldn't you agree, Ben?
Yeah, I think so. 100% I agree. And as you say, you're seeing it now. I mean, days on market's a little bit longer. I don't see, as you just pointed out, I don't see anything that's going to depreciate home values at all, because there's still a pretty strong demand out there.
One of the positives now, even though for home buyers, this is a big positive, even though home prices are going to continue to increase, they're not expected to continue increasing at the levels that they have over the last year. So, and this is, in preparing for this episode, we looked at articles with information from CoreLogic, from Forbes, from US Bank, from NAR, the National Association of Realtors. All of these real estate experts, Zillow, Redfin, all of their chief economists and things, they all agree with basically the fact that we're still going to see home appreciation, but it's just going to be slower. Now, to give you a little bit of understanding of that cooling off of home value appreciation, historic home value appreciation in the United States is around 5.5%, 4.5%. That's from 1968 up to the 2010s. That was typical average over the years, 5.4%. Now, from 2021 and from 20 to 2021, we saw an appreciation in Atlanta of around 18%. And so that's pretty standard for the rest of the United States as well. And some parts of the US and even some neighborhoods of Atlanta saw even into the 20% range for appreciation. So when we say cooling off, what we're looking at is getting back to, we're not looking at, potentially any depreciation, but more a cooling off to get back to that level of 5.5% average appreciation. And that's even to get back to those levels is probably going to be into maybe 2024 is what a lot of experts are saying. So for this summer, we're looking at a cooling off, getting back to like more of a standard appreciation.
It's probably a good thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
is there a reason why a house needs to appreciate 20%
Right. Yeah. And, getting back, I had a quote here that was really good. The market may be heading back to sanity.
Needs to.
Yeah, exactly. And the good thing this summer, so because we're talking about what's going to happen in the next couple months, is unfortunately, like we talked about last week, some buyers are going to be taken out of the market. Some buyers, because of rising interest rates, will no longer be able to afford the house they were looking for. They won't be in the market anymore. Some homes are going to sit on the market a little bit longer. So because of that, buyers who are still in the market can take a little bit more time this summer. We're going to be looking at this summer is, we're not talking about everything switching over, but if you were shopping last summer and maybe you kind of held off through the fall and winter and spring and you're still shopping, it's going to be a little bit easier for you this summer than it was last summer as far as competition goes and what your strategies have to be in the market.
Yep, should be.
So what do you tell buyers when they say, interest rates are too high right now, I'm gonna wait until they get back down to that 3 or 4 range, maybe next year sometime?
Number one, we have to show them the cost of waiting, because if, let's say, home values do not slow down in appreciation, then they're going to be buying a more expensive home down the road. If they're looking to buy that same size of home, right? The home's going to be more expensive. So even if rates come down, let's say 1%, you're still buying a home that's $50,000 more than what it was 6 months, 8 months ago. And so the cost of waiting, when we put it on paper and we show them, hey, here's the cost of waiting, that opens their eyes into, oh, okay, let's go ahead and bite the bullet now. Go ahead and let's deal with that monthly payment. We can afford it. We can budget correctly. Down the road, we will refinance to that lower interest rate and get our payment where it needs to be. Right. And that's where just the education comes in on my side and explaining it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And one of the other thing that we talked about, as far as buyers, we're talking about first-time home buyers, somebody who is living in an apartment or renting a house right now. And I think you posted this, and I've seen other real estate agents post this as well. When referring to interest rates, the interest rate on a rental is 100%. So if your comparison is the fact that you're paying 100% interest on your apartment, that compared to 5%, obviously there's no comparison, right? It's a way better deal to own and to start building equity.
And here's the deal. Your rent goes up every year. At least a 30-year mortgage is fixed for 30 years.
Yeah.
So you know exactly what your monthly payment's going to be. You know that money's going towards principal every month, right? Mm-hmm. And let's hope that values appreciate.
Right. Yeah.
So
absolutely,
if you look at equity gained plus appreciation, it's a win-win over renting.
Yeah.
If you are able to buy.
Absolutely. And that is like, the thing you said about locking in, having your price locked in, or your payment locked in. Really, that's the biggest part of it. And that's what I always say to people, like, if, budget out for what you can afford on a monthly payment, and imagine you get to lock that price in for the next 30 years, and then you're building equity, like you said, and everything, but you don't have to worry about finding another place next year or 2 years from now because the rent went up.
And let's be real, you're not going to be in that home 30 years.
Right.
So, start gaining appreciation, start gaining some equity, and then from there, take that equity and put it towards the next home, and then do it again. Because, everything that we see, and Tyler knows this as well, is that, the average American these days stays in a home 7 years. Okay. So every 7 years, somebody's moving.
Yeah, absolutely. What we're looking at right now in as far as like the summer coming up, and what I think buyers can expect is we are going to see some cooling off. So if you've been thinking about buying, you've been holding off, like now might be the best time to get in the market and see what's out there, because you may have more competition. If you're able, you may have less competition in the market right now. As far as sellers go, I've talked to a couple sellers recently who they're concerned that they maybe missed the mark, that it's already passed. And somebody said today, actually at a listing appointment, somebody said, I wish we had jumped in when the market was hot. And the truth is, the market is so much hotter now than it was in 2019 heading into 2020. I mean, we're still in a very, very strong seller's market. It's a little bit less competitive than it was a year ago, yes, or even the beginning of this year, but we're still in a very strong seller's market. So trust me, you have not missed the mark. I mean, we'll get back to that inventory thing that I bring up all the time, and I went over the charts before. We're at 1.5 months of inventory right now. That is, when we talk about a balanced market, I think Ben mentioned a balanced market before. A balanced market would be around 6 months of inventory. 6 months of inventory is balanced. We're only at a month and a half. We are very short on supply, which still gives sellers the upper hand. We're still in a strong seller market.
How long did it take us to get to the lowest levels of inventory? I just want to know, like, when was the last time we were at 6 months of inventory?
I mean, no, honestly, since I've been a real estate agent since 2015. We haven't been at 6 months of inventory here in Atlanta. So the highest point,
and I'm pretty sure in 2015 it was a buyer's market, even at whatever those numbers were, right?
2015, yes. Beginning of 2015, we were, not at 6 months, but we were at 4 months of inventory. And then it sort of steadily dropped all the way into, 2017 was where we got around, or 2016 was where we got around that like 3 to 3.5 months of inventory area. And that was where from 2016 all the way to 2019, we were at that 3.5 months of inventory mark. And that was like perfect. I mean, there were multiple offer situations. Like on my listings, we would have, on the good listings, you would have 5, 10, offers on a property, but most of them, you get 1 or 2 offers on it. Buyers are competing sometimes, but not always having to compete as hard. And then it was from March of 2020 was the highest level most recently. April of 2020. Inventory was at 2.9%, so almost 3%. And then it just dropped off. The lowest level was March of 2021, so about a year later. And that went all the way down to 1 month of inventory. And we've been hovering around that 1 to 1.2 months of inventory since then until, recently in the last month, it sort of started ticking back up a little bit. So it fell off. Like if looking back at that chart, it fell off from March, we're at 2.9, or April, we're at 2.9 months of inventory. That was 2020. I mean, it just fell. It just dropped within just a matter of about 6 months. It just fell off. Well, Ben, it's been 30 minutes. It was good hanging out with you. Thank you to anybody who came on, and we'll see you next week. Saturday, yes. The Summer Beer Fest in the Old Fourth Ward Park will be there, and I don't have them with me, but we have these really cool koozies to give out. So you guys come over there and get one and hang out. It's like $35 for a ticket to the festival. I think they said 150 beers and like, I don't know, a bunch of wine too. It's supposed to be really cool.
Are you going to have 150 beers?
I don't think I will, but I challenge you to.
No way.
All right. All right, man. I'll talk to you.
Yeah,
have a good one.
That's it.
Later.